In the dead of night, the cold winds carried the anguished cries of those who fell prey to the butcher-baker. He would patiently stalk his victims, studying their routines and habits until he knew them better than they knew themselves. Like a wolf in sheep's clothing, he'd present himself as a kind and helpful figure, earning their trust while concealing the darkness within. Once he identified the perfect target, Hansen would strike with calculated precision. He'd watch from the shadows, his eyes gleaming with malevolence, as the unsuspecting victim went about her daily life. Then, on a day when the skies were overcast and the streets were quiet, he'd abduct her, leaving behind no trace of his sinister presence. His chosen victims would awaken in a secluded cabin deep within the Alaskan wilderness, disoriented and terrified. The cabin, seemingly abandoned, held no escape. The cold, dimly lit interior was filled with a stench of decay, evidence of the butcher-baker's unspeakable acts. As dawn broke, the victims would find themselves stripped of their warm clothing, left to shiver in the icy grasp of the wilderness. Their breath formed small clouds of fog, a haunting reminder of their vulnerability. The cabin walls seemed to close in on them, as if the very structure of the place was alive, watching their every move. With a cold grin on his face, Hansen would release them into the unforgiving embrace of the tundra. The forest of tall pines and icy streams became a labyrinth of fear, where every shadow seemed to hide a lurking nightmare. He took sadistic pleasure in witnessing the terror-stricken eyes of his victims as they realized they were nothing more than prey in his deadly game. Equipped with only meager supplies, they'd run through the frozen wilderness, the icy ground biting into their bare feet. Each footfall echoed like a death knell, announcing their futile attempts to escape their fate. The terror they felt grew as the realization dawned upon them that they were being hunted like animals, left at the mercy of a remorseless predator. The butcher-baker moved silently through the snow, his rifle a cold extension of his callous will. The haunting sound of his footsteps seemed to come from all directions, confusing and disorienting his victims. They'd hide behind trees, praying for invisibility, but the looming presence of the hunter was inescapable. As the day turned into night, the forest became an abyss of darkness, where twisted shapes seemed to reach out for them. The howls of distant wolves added to the eerie atmosphere, as if the very wilderness itself was conspiring against them. Fear clouded their minds, and exhaustion gnawed at their bodies, but the relentless pursuit continued. With each gunshot that shattered the silence, terror would grip the hearts of the survivors even tighter. Every time the butcher-baker missed, they'd find a spark of hope, only to have it crushed by the cold realization that their captor was toying with them. He took pleasure in prolonging their agony, stretching their misery like a sadistic symphony. As the moon rose high above the treetops, the victims' will to survive dwindled. The Alaskan wilderness was merciless, and even the stars seemed to turn away from the atrocities that unfolded beneath them. The air grew thick with despair, and the weight of their imminent doom settled upon their shoulders. In the end, only the echoes of their dying breaths and desperate pleas remained in the icy expanse. The butcher-baker's twisted grin widened as he took in the horror and misery he had inflicted, basking in the cold darkness that consumed his soul. The legend of the butcher-baker persists to this day, etched in the chilling tales told around campfires in the Alaskan wilderness. Some say his malevolent spirit still haunts the tundra, forever seeking new prey to torment. The horror of Robert Hansen's deeds lingers like a shadow in the minds of those who dare to venture into the heart of the frozen north, a warning of the darkness that can thrive in even the most desolate of landscapes. If you like our content, please like and subscribe. If you have any serial killer suggestions, please leave a comment down below.